we have shortcomings because of what we see in others. Or, for example, whoever that person was that said that, oh, looks like Cynthia's doing fine, you know, uh, come talk with me. I'll let you know.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Ask me.
Yeah,
Ask me. Truly ask me.
yeah.
Not, how are you doing?
You're
And then
truly interested.
you're moving on. Yes. Truly
And
ask
it
me.
was almost as if, well, she's doing fine. She didn't need Eric. That is so not true. And that's really what I want this two-part episode to be, because this is going to be two parts.
Yep.
I want this to be people to understand that it's not all sunshine and lollipops and roses. And we're almost 2 years out. And it sometimes gets harder before it gets easier.
Yep.
There was something, it was kind of funny. Eric and I wanted to do it. And you had your sewer pipe thing, but I'm talking about, where you have dreams or wishes for things. And one of them was we wanted a whole built-in in our bedroom. And this built-in we were planning on doing. So when we first moved in here, of course, our daughter's wedding was 6 weeks after we moved in here. So all the money went to that wedding. And then COVID hit and everything was shut down. So we couldn't have anything done.
Yep.
And then we had a lawsuit come against us, and then Eric passed. I mean, it was literally, there was no time to even think about doing the built-in. So after he passed, once again, this goes back to friends and things that are capable. Please, if you hear anything from me today in this episode, do not tell a widow you are willing to do something for her and then not follow through. I am telling you right now, it is the biggest slap in the face and rejection. That's how friendships are lost. People have walked away because they will not follow through. And I say that in the utmost love and respect and honor, but please, please do not drop these dowagers in your life. Do not drop them. If you tell them you're going to do something, follow through. Follow through.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
anyway, so, huh?
I said I agree. I agree.
So here I have these people come over. They're like, we know you wanted some stuff done on the house. What did you want done? Da, 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 da. So I had these men come in and they did this shiplap on the walls that I had wanted done. It was such a blessing. And they also knew that I needed the apartment rented out. So they soundproofed the apartment a little bit better for me. This was back, like literally 3 months after Eric passed. And so they said, is there anything else you want done? And I said, yeah. I said, Eric and I wanted this built in. So when we moved in here, Eric was using a cardboard box and I was using a Rubbermaid tub as my nightstand.
Yep.
So he had a cardboard box turned on the side and I had a Rubbermaid tub. And it took me over a year to get rid of that cardboard box, by the way, because I was really struggling. I would still see it sitting there. I just couldn't move it because it has all his stuff on it. It had his phone on it, had his glasses on it. It had everything on it. And so finally, they would come over. They'd measure the walls. They would look at it, and they would discuss it. And then all of a sudden, nothing. Nothing. This was 3 months after Eric passed.
Oh gosh.
So 17 months later, nothing. Still nothing. And so I ended up having a friend from North Carolina come down.
Yep. And take care of it.
And his family stayed in my apartment as a spring break type thing for his family. And he came down here and he did it for me.
Wow.
And he did it for me in a week. He got that whole thing done. And it looks beautiful and I'm so thankful for it. And I look at it and I go, oh my word, it's exactly what Eric and I always wanted, that type of thing. But it took 17 months of no response to finally, I was like, okay, I'm going to have to reach out to somebody else because I can't, it's not that I can't live with a Rubbermaid tub my whole life. I just don't want to. I'm tired of using a Rubbermaid tub,
Right.
And so it's things like that had Eric still been around, would have gotten done much sooner,
Oh,
you
oh,
know.
absolutely.
And
Yes.
because all the reasons we didn't do it were completely legitimate, wedding, COVID, lawsuit, and death. But then, when I ended up wanting to get it done, I had to go someplace else, even to North Carolina, like you said, almost to have a handyman on the on the on the rolls, for to be able to do stuff around the house. And while he was here, I had him do a bunch of other stuff that I wanted done too. But I think the reason for me it took 17 months, and I don't know if you find it for you, but the weariness of just asking again and again and again, the energy it takes when people choose not to follow through is literally debilitating to a dowager.
It is. Oh my gosh, yes.
It makes us a widow, even though we want to be strong, we want to be dowagers. And that's why we do this podcast, because there are times where we get shoved back into that box by people because we're an inconvenience. And I sit here and question, do people not read the Word of God? I mean, God's very clear about widows and orphans in the Bible.
Yep, 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 yep. Yeah, well, you got to wonder.
And we don't do that well at all. We don't do
No,
that well at all. And I think that's partly why you and I have also started this, is to let these other women know they're not alone, and that
oh,
I'm willing to do something about it for them. I'm willing to speak up and say something about it for them.
yes, yes. Oh my gosh, absolutely. Because if you and I are feeling like this,
Shoot.
there's plethora. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure so many are. And it makes me wonder, just uh we won't go deep into this, but do you wonder if that's why so many people rush to get into a relationship, like say a woman with another man, or get married again? Do
Oh,
you wonder?
absolutely. 100%.
Because I need somebody, especially they need somebody to be that person, and that is not the reason to do that at all.
Oh,
Zero zero, because it will never work
no,
unless
well,
the only way that will, if you want to call it that, it'll work, is if you are willing to sort of maybe just give up everything. You know what I'm saying? Kind
yeah,
of like, it's like, okay, so just to have that person, just to
yeah.
have that person, so that, because I mean, nobody could ever replace Jeff, and nobody could ever replace Eric ever in a million
No,
years.
not even one time.
No. And it's like, and I've, we've often talked about this, but if you are going to go into another relationship, you got to be okay with you first.
Yes.
You got to be okay with you first, because this cannot go into that and think that it's like, oh, it's going to be like it was, or it's going to be okay. It's not. So I just wonder if that's not why a lot of um people, widows, get remarried or get in a
Well, I
relationship.
think it is because when you get to this point, like where we are right now, where things start getting thrown at you, it gets hard. It
It
gets really
does.
hard. And it would be easier just to have somebody else
You
to
know,
pass
have
it on
friends
to.
do it.
But at the same point in time,
Lover.
Eric and I, we did marriage counseling, and a huge number of our marriage counseling, it's the strangest thing, were with people who one was widowed and one was divorced, or both were widowed, and they come together like that, and they start comparing
Mhm.
their spouse to the other person that they had been married to. And and so really sometimes, for a lesser term, I think you actually said this, are we ready for a new model? Because there might be a lot more problems under the hood than we have energy for.
Yeah, right? Oh, yeah, yeah. No. Oh, gosh. Oh, if this is hard, can you imagine that? Oh, my goodness. I can't. I can't. I can't. But I
But
don't want to.
but I think that that is a big part of it is because this gets so hard, they just don't want to do it. They don't want to do it.
No, they might not have, you might not have children that you can, like grown children. I mean, to help bounce things off of, or have a son-in-law that's willing to go to an HOA event with you. You know what I'm saying? And I'm blessed that I have sons and daughter-in-laws that that I can count on too, and some really good friends that would fill in that void for me. But not everybody has that. Not
No.
everybody has that, and my heart my heart breaks for them because this is so hard when we have somewhat of a little bit of a network
Yeah.
that can help us um through this and hear us out. If nothing else, hear us out.
Yes.
You know?
And you know what? And you know, Sharon, that, and I know that this is just us talking because that's what we do best. But
Yeah,
I've actually thought that at some point in time, we almost need something called like the Widows Council or the Dowagers Council, um, a place that people who lose their spouse could go to for, when things get hard like this, a resource where somebody would be like, absolutely, I would be a part of that. I would be a resource whenever a widow needs something, then we make sure that
right.
this person gets this. And things like that. I mean, I really do. And I've always, and what's so funny was I was just looking through some of my past journalings that I did. And one of the things was I wrote that down, can we create a widows council from the dowagers?
That's a great
where
idea.
where these women or men, widows or widowers, have a place that they can go to when they're like, hey, I need to take care of this. How do I take care of this? And there's somebody there to answer that question for them.
Kind of like your tires. Okay, your tires will not blow up.
Yes.
Nor will they come off the rim. It's okay. You're going to be okay. Maybe don't take a long trip, but go, because that was such a panic for me.
Oh,
So
absolutely. I could
it's
see
so
where it would
simple,
be.
right? It's so simple. So and that's all that somebody needed to tell me. It's like it's okay. The tires aren't going to blow up, and you're going to kill yourself and everybody around you, um, or the wheels aren't going to come off the rims.
Or your car's going to flip up when you're driving in or
Right,
something.
right, right. So it's like that's probably all I needed to hear
Yeah. Yes.
to
Yes.
calm me down,
Yes.
right? So, yes, and that's a simple thing.
It is simple, but I was also thinking, back when you and I were talking at the very beginning, when you're dealing with having to um, take care of calling credit card companies, calling a mortgage, taking care of banking stuff, all this
Utility.
kind of stuff where you have to take their name off and things like that. And I know that there are people who can leave it on for years and years and years, and that's fine. Leave it on for years and years. But at some point, it is going to have to come off. Um, but I just thought I would have really liked to have had somebody to call and say, hey, I need to do this. Can you help me do this?
Yes.
And almost do like third party calls where you or I, who are seasoned dowagers in this, would help that person with those phone calls. Here's what you need to do. Here's a list of things that you should, take care of right away. Don't worry about this. This can happen later, and things like that. Or a resource that if they do have something like tires, handyman, things like that, they call, hey, I'm needing this. Great. Let's see what we can do for you. Where are you? I almost think it needs to be a nationwide thing. I almost think that our country has completely forgotten so much about widows because I don't know what you dealt with because You were how old when Jeff passed?
63.
Okay. Well, just to let you know, for those of us that weren't 60 yet, we were not allowed to collect our husband's Social Security.
Right.
The only way you are is your children get it if you have children under 18 in the home, 17 or younger. But really, to be honest, I was 51 when Eric passed. There are some women that didn't have any children that were in their 30s, 40s that
Right.
lost husbands at this time. There literally, Sharon, was nothing for them.
Yeah.
Nothing. And these were people who depended on their spouses. I mean, not even life insurance.
Right.
And
Nothing.
so,
Right.
so there almost has to be something where you have that, almost like a dowager's council for women to be able to, or men even too, to reach out to say, I need help with this, and it doesn't always need to be financial help. It could be help with, how to make phone calls or for somebody to make the phone call for them.
Oh, yes. Yes. Well, and there's so many people that just in general, not for widows, but that just amps it up, I think, um, that want to scam you.
Oh, I know, and that's so dangerous. Where they need to call and say, "I got this phone call about this. What do I? Is this for real?" Those are things that we have to know, and you have to be aware of. I mean,
And yeah, and some people they're in their marriage, however they balance it out, however they work it, sometimes this is what I have heard recently. Like, so everything was in the husband's name. So credit wise, they couldn't do anything because they had no credit.
yeah, yep,
They didn't they didn't even almost exist in the world as far as in that,
yes,
so they
no,
couldn't buy
it's
a
true.
car, they couldn't. My gosh, you can't even rent an apartment.
No, you can't.
There's a lot of things you can't do if you have no credit rating.
It's true. It's so
You know,
true.
so that alone, the what do I do now? My husband died. I got these kids. I can't. I have no job
Yep.
because, and stay at home mom is a job that nobody gets paid enough for.
No, no, not at
It's it's
all.
just oh, because they are not lazy. They
No.
are not. It's like it's not because they can't get a job. They don't want to get a job. Whatever. I'm. My God, that's an awesome thing to be able to do, to stay home and raise your children,
Their sole
especially,
focus is to raise
yeah,
their children.
take care of the household, of the things that would go along with that. Um, but okay, now all of a sudden, boom, your husband's gone. Maybe you're not old enough to collect any kind of benefits. You don't have any life insurance because maybe they never did that, whatever the case may be. Now, what in the world are you going to do?
Yeah,
So yeah, well, just FYI out there, people, if you got any tips on this, like how we should start something like this, because you know what, maybe that's something we can get a group together that can do this,
I
because
would
I
love
think
I would love to see I would love to see something like that happen because it's so desperately needed.
1-800 help a widow, help a dowager, you know. They got a 1-800 for everything else, so why not? Because it's
It's
sad.
true.
My
It's so
gosh.
true. It's so true. And I think it would almost help people navigate it better
Oh,
if they knew of a
so
resource
good.
that they could go to.
Somebody that they could trust. When I
Yes,
call you, someone's going to be there, not push A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we'll get back to you in the next year.
right.
No, someone's going to answer that phone, or somebody's going to, yeah, yeah. My God, that's a brilliant idea. That's a brilliant idea. Um,
But
because I would have used it maybe.
well, on top of it, because you never know who to call. I mean, I was just slapped last week with a huge fine for somebody turned me in for renting my apartment in my house, and I don't know who did it, but it happened, and with the paper I got, the number I got freaked out when they sent me in the mail when they told me how much I owed. And so it literally took, like you said, you put your big girl pants on, and you go to wherever you need to go to take care of it. And I went down to the county and I walked in there, and the one guy, he was saying that he couldn't even he couldn't do this. There's another lady who took care of it. He goes and gets this other woman to take care of it, and I told them, she goes, "Hi, I'm the one you talked to on the phone." And I talked to her on the phone last week when I was trying to find out the details of this, because they told me that I'm being fined for renting this. It was just crazy. And I'm like, and I had shared with her, "Hey, do you guys take any consideration? I lost my husband, I lost my mother-in-law. Literally, my whole household went from 5 people to 2 people in 3 weeks. I'm still treading water. I'm
Yep.
at least, my lips are out of the water and I'm breathing real air instead of straws stacked on top of each other sticking out of the water. And so here, um she goes, "No, we have no concessions for anybody.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
We
gosh.
treat everybody the same." And I thought, that's going to
Wow.
be the downfall of our country.
Wow. That's harsh.
If we cannot take into context, it's called context. If we cannot take into context what's happened in somebody's life. And and part of that is, you know, there should be some kind of assistance for widows for X amount of time, like was supposed to be for welfare, was only supposed to be for a certain length of time. Some people have turned it into a lifetime. But even like something like the Dowager's Council could be something that helps widows for a certain length of time. And then
Right.
they can give back themselves to then helping other widows. The people could come back in and help other widows again. Because I'm telling you right now, we miss our husbands desperately. Desperately, desperately. We miss them. And that's part of when things like this come up that we have to take care of on our own, that makes life hard.
Yeah.
And when life gets hard, you just don't care. You know, like today, I didn't want to put makeup on today. I didn't want to do my hair today. And here I am doing this podcast like this because I couldn't even bring myself to do it. I've just been so meh lately
Yeah.
because of the energy that it takes. I'm having trying to have the energy of 2 people, but I'm still only one person.
Yes. 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 That is it right there. You're trying to do, yeah,
And I'm trying
two.
to make
Now
decisions for
you're one.
two
You're
people,
trying
but
to
I'm
do,
only one person.
and in the meantime, you are missing you're missing your heart is so broke.
Yeah,
It's like, God Almighty. It's like, it's hard.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, man, I walk around and I look at Jeff's pictures and he's smiling. I'm like, oh, well, I'm glad you're smiling, honey, because boy, oh boy, this is tough. This is tough. And I know I'm gonna be okay. I know I'm gonna get through this, just
Oh,
like
I
you
know. I
are.
know. Me too. Me too.
But it's you're all these years, it's like it's so hard. It's just so hard because you miss them, and sometimes things come up, like the things that we've had to deal with in this last month, that are so big and so hard, and at the same time we're having to deal with all that, and we don't get to. It's almost like we don't, like, there's not it took away the time that we wanted to just miss our person,
Yes,
you
yes.
know
And
and
on
I'm
top of
fine with
it
that.
too.
I don't I'm always going to miss my person, but
Right.
I need my time, you
Yeah.
know
And
yeah.
on top of it, we have all this stuff happen over the last month for you and I both, and we don't have that person to process it with.
Well, and that's the other. I mean, I know that from conversations with you, how you and Eric, communicated with each other, and how Jeff and I communicated with each other. And, maybe, and it doesn't even matter how long somebody's married, really, but it I guess, I've done a lot of thinking about all the years. And so, in the early years, you're raising kids and you're "Ooh," like this. And then now we got the best part of our life, the best part of our life, that we were to enjoy everything that we worked so hard for. And
Yeah.
now we're like, here we are, you and me,
Yeah.
and um, so that's hard.
And now
That's
it's just you.
hard. And now it's just me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hard. And I don't like it.
Yeah. I don't either. It's not fun. It's not fun. And that's why, this episode, this two-parter that we're doing right now is called, When Life Gets Hard. Because as much as we'd like to think that almost 2 years out things have gotten easier, it hasn't. You know, I miss him as much today, if not more, than I did the day after the day I found out he wasn't coming back. Even just yesterday, Matthew and I in the car were just having a moment, and I said, I really miss Dad, and he goes, I do too. I said, it just doesn't seem real still at
It
times.
doesn't. It doesn't feel real. It
No.
doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't feel real. It is, but it doesn't feel real. But yeah, I know.
You just wish that they'd come walking in and come back from a long trip or whatever, and you know,
Wouldn't that be
just to
nice?
see them. But when life gets hard,
Well,
one,
and when it gets hard, people go, and we have a like, okay, I took care of got somebody to clean up the sewer stuff, and we had to dig up the sewer pipe and we had to replace it. So we got it done.
we
You
did,
got your
we did, we did, we got it done.
you got the apartment, you took care of what you needed for the apartment so you could survive. We got it done.
Yeah,
It wasn't easy by no
no,
shape of imagination, but we got it done. So then some people look at that like, oh, well, look at you. You're getting it all. Yeah, but it probably took it. I hate to think what it took.
well,
What it,
that's that 45-minute window. Oh, Cynthia's doing good. Sharon's
yeah,
doing great. They're doing great. And it's like, yeah, the
because you can't just lay on. You couldn't. Okay, I couldn't let the sewer just keep coming into my house. Okay, I got to address it. I have to do something, right? You
right.
can't
Just
like
yes,
let
yes,
run. And so we were forced to do it, so we did it. And sure, now we feel somewhat accomplished because, oh gosh, wow, okay, we did it.
yeah.
That doesn't make it like okay. It
No,
doesn't make it
no, it
okay.
doesn't. It doesn't.
So,
But I'm
but
thankful for friends like you. I'm
yes,
thankful for the Lord.
yes,
Um, I'm thankful that I have Him to run to sometimes, because sometimes at night in my bed, that's all I have is Him.
yes, 100%, 100%. I
And
said
so,
Jesus is my best friend, and
yep,
thank God I have him.
amen, amen. So if you're watching this episode, reach out to us, make comments on YouTube, comment on the podcast. You can find us on Instagram. Reach out to us on those.
Send us an email. Whatever you
Yeah,
go to thedowagers.com. All of our information is there.
yeah,
Um, please share this with everybody um, because sometimes you might not know that somebody knows somebody that needs this help, that needs to hear this,
yeah.
um, or themselves. And so, like us, share this, and please comment. Because
Yes,
we would love to hear your comments and how can we how can we address something that you're going through? Because
yes,
that's what we're here for.
yes. Very good. Okay, well, this ends this episode, part 2 of the Dowagers. When life gets hard. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye
All right.
bye.